Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host. I'm still in Chicago attending a convention, and I've been speaking here on interesting issues. So I'm coming to you from Chicago, and today I want to talk to you about two developments that have taken place, which are very, very critical. And I think both are major blows to Donald Trump and his ambitions to sustain and establish America's preeminence in this world. So two major blows to Donald Trump. One is the decision by the Federal Appellate Court to rule that all the tariffs that he has imposed on the rest of the world are illegal and unconstitutional because he has exceeded his constitutional authority in imposing these tariffs all over the countries, and in a way completely upends and destroys his foreign policy agenda and his domestic policy agenda. Donald Trump, and so that's the first thing that I'm going to talk about. The second thing that I'm going to talk about is in Tianjin, the SCO summit that is being hosted by Xi Jinping, and its enormous success by just the sheer degree of participation, and we'll talk a little bit more about those two issues and how they impact the fortunes of India, China, Russia, and the United States, and basically how they also impact the rapidly transforming global environment, geopolitics, and global order. So let's begin with the Federal Appellate Courts. What it has done is essentially ruled that nearly most of the tariffs that Donald Trump has imposed are illegal and unconstitutional. So according to the US Constitution, it is only the Congress that can impose tariffs, can impose import duties, can import taxes, etc. So the whole idea of any activity that generates revenue for the state are basically part and purview of the Congress. So no one else can actually go in there and generate revenue. I think that it is also important. I think if somebody goes to the court and challenges Donald Trump's profit sharing plans with various countries who are investing in the US, as well as taking profit from NVIDIA, it is quite possible that the courts will say, no, this has to go through the Congress. Because ultimately what Donald Trump has done to NVIDIA as well as Intel is imposed a form of a tax, which is profit sharing. So in that sense, Donald Trump has suffered a major constitutional setback to such an extent that he actually said that if this particular decision of the Federal Appellate Court is upheld, it will destroy America. That's what he said. He didn't say it will destroy my agenda. He didn't say anything. He said it will destroy America if this appellate court hearing is held. Now, does that mean that Donald Trump's entire saga and policy of tariffs has come to an end? Actually, no. So right now, countries who are trading with the US and whatever deals have been made, some of them are quite beneficial to the US, undoubtedly getting access to markets in Europe and Japan and Indonesia. These are all growing markets, huge markets at 0% tariffs for American goods. That's a huge achievement. You will export a lot. And if you keep exporting a lot to these countries because your products are now cheap because there is no tariff on them, your manufacturing and your production at home will increase, and that will definitely create manufacturing jobs, or at least generate manufacturing profits. So this is a big blow, definitely not just to Donald Trump's ambitions, but also to the US national interest if America is not able to take advantage of the breakthroughs that these negotiations have given it. But there are other options. So Donald Trump is obviously going to the Supreme Court, and so far the Supreme Court has done 2 or 3 things. One, it has supported Donald Trump in most of the cases to such an extent is to granting him immunity from many activities which can be deemed criminal otherwise. For things that I could go to jail, Donald Trump will not go to jail because he is immune, and it's not even clear if the immunity lasts only during the period that he's president, or is it a permanent immunity because he was president. So the Supreme Court has been very supportive of Donald Trump, and it is quite possible that the Supreme Court will overturn the Federal Appellate Court's judgment. So far, 2 courts have done that. The International Trade Court has also deemed that Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal because they are outside the purview of WTO, etc. So now he's going to go to the Supreme Court, and I suspect that there's a pretty good chance that he might get some relief from the Supreme Court. The second thing is the Supreme Court is also very unhappy that some of the lower courts are actually trying to impede the president's authority. And so the Supreme Court at least is of the opinion, I mean, people may not be, the Supreme Court of the US is currently of the opinion that lower courts are exceeding their own authority by trying to impede Donald Trump's agenda and his policies. So there seems to be some kind of an acknowledgement that American courts are also indulging in politics. And so the Supreme Court will ultimately also indulge in politics and maybe rule on the side of Donald Trump. The second thing is, if the Supreme Court does not rule on the side of the Donald Trump and say yes to some extent that these tariffs are the purview of the Congress, what I don't understand is why Donald Trump is not going quickly to the Congress and getting all of these passed as laws, the deals that he has made with these countries. He could actually right now, the Congress and the Senate are passing most of what Donald Trump wants, but he does not want to have debates, etc. I think he should go to the Congress and try to get these things passed. Then he could get around the courts. But there are other provisions, and I'm not going to go into the details for those of you who are in the know and those who want to pursue this further. I can tell you that there are other methods so currently Donald Trump has been using a law that is called IEEPA. And according to IEEPA, under certain emergency situations, the president can use his authority to temporarily impose tariffs or sanctions. So these are the sanctions that are imposed on Iraq and Iran and other places through IEEPA, which have not been routed through the Congress. So, but these are, the perception is that these are temporary powers given to the president, and they're not so big in scope. They're very tiny in scope to protect national interest and stuff like that. So I think the tariffs that he imposed on aluminum and maybe even the ones on copper and the chips, he could justify saying that this is a national emergency. We need this to build weapons, etc. So maybe the courts are willing to say that's okay. But tariffs on Indonesia and Bangladesh, for example, there is no emergency in buying clothes. So why would you have this particular rule? So, but there are other laws which are there. They are called Section 301 and Section 232, on the basis of which Donald Trump could redirect all of his. Right now, he's using IEEPA to justify the tariffs that he has passed. So we'll see what happens, but the tariffs are in place at the moment, and he's going to double down on it. And I think there will be more campaign against judges, and you can see a lot. That American atmosphere is going to get very ugly and very problematic going forward. So that is one issue that we are going to see. Can you come after 1 hour, please? Hello? So I think they are eager to clean my room. Anyway, so that is one issue we are going to have, and we'll see. It's going to create a lot of tension, definitely in American politics, and the question mark will always, I think, remain on these tariffs, whether these are legal or not, because Donald Trump has basically usurped the authority of the Congress in implementing his policies. So we will see what happens. So at the moment, if people in India and other countries are looking to relief from the tariffs because of it, I don't think it's going to happen immediately, because they will wait for the Supreme Court's decision, and that could be several months. And now the US is getting on an average of $30 to $40 billion a month in tariffs collection, which is only going to increase because, you know, the bigger tariffs have been imposed just recently. So we will know how much tariffs come in October, September, October, November, etc. So there might also be a lot of political pressure on the courts to support Donald Trump. The second issue that is very critical is the SCO summit in Tianjin in China. And of course, all of you probably are watching this very clearly. And I'm thrilled to say that it is going apparently quite seriously. It is going quite seriously. Nearly 20 countries' heads of states have arrived. Nearly, I think all the member heads of states of the SCO, which are 10 members, the four stands, Russia, China, India, Pakistan, Belarus, and Iran. These are the 10 members. In fact, this time, even the president of Turkmenistan, who is a very isolationist country, is also attending in some observer capacity. There are some very prominent other people who are not actually members who are in the process of applying. I couldn't confirm whether there are anybody from Afghanistan, which is attending the SCO summit. But clearly Erdogan is there, Moizu from Maldives is there. And so there are lots of people there who are attending. So, and also the heads of states of the heads of 10 international organizations are also attending the SCO summit. SCO is about 40% of the world's population right now are members of the SCO countries, primarily because of India and China. And some of the big issues that are taking place at this are the rapid normalization of shall we say, India-China relations. And if, like I have always said before, that if India and China can resolve their issues, which are very difficult and which may not happen with this particular government because some of its policies are at odds with and I will elaborate them shortly, with members of SCO. But broadly speaking, if there were other governments in India, I think there would be much more rapid and robust partnerships in SCO, as well as Brazil, if we had a non-BJP, a non-Modi government. And I'll explain to you quickly or shortly. So the first thing that we need to know is that Xi Jinping is really working very hard. He has had huge bilaterals. He's had a bilateral with Modi, where India and China have talked about normalizing border relations, and they have talked about mutual collaboration in long-term development. So that is the key issue, right? That is the whole idea of the sustainable development, to keep developing so that both countries become high-income economies. They completely eliminate poverty, even though India has done a great job in the last 25 years of lifting over 400 million people. India has lifted out of poverty. China has lifted about 800 million people out of. So between India and China, more than 1 billion people have escaped poverty, but there are still 800 million people in India who are not well off, and so there is a long way to go to become a developed country, and they want to collaborate on that issue. Plus, there are all these wonderful bilaterals that Xi Jinping is having. He has had bilaterals with Prime Minister Modi, which is probably the most important one. He's had bilaterals with President Azerbaijan. He also has signed a deal with the Prime Minister of Armenia. So both the heads of Azerbaijan and head of Armenia are there. Then President of Maldives, Moizu, has had a bilateral with Xi Jinping. The Prime Minister of Egypt is there, Prime Minister of Cambodia, the Prime Minister of Nepal, the President of Kazakhstan, which is a very important country in SCO, and of course, he has had a bilateral with Vladimir Putin. So this is the big deal, that he is hosting some of the most powerful non-Western powers. And then there is also this celebration of the 80th celebration of the victory in World War II, where China defeated Japan. And that, I think, is going to be a problem because India is not joining. See, this whole business of India being on both sides of every issue is going to be a problem, not just for India, but will make India a problem for others. So, for example, take the case of SCO. Xi Jinping and Putin are trying their best to project SCO as a major security non-Western alliance or partnership or forum. It is 40% of the population. There are major powers in it. There are 4 nuclear powers in it: India, Pakistan, Russia, and China are members of SCO. But when SCO tried to issue a statement condemning Israel for attacking Iran, India basically sabotaged SCO. India alone sabotaged SCO. All the other members are supporting their members, but India wants to be in SCO, but does not want to support SCO members. And if SCO is attacked by somebody from outside, India will not stand with them. So how can SCO ever become like NATO, where if you attack one NATO country, you attack everybody else? So India is a problem there. And then again, India has become a problem because India is not going to attend the parade. This is going to be a massive parade in China. China is going to displace military power to the West and is celebrating its victory in World War II. You know, when we talk about World War II, we never really, at least in the West, never talk about the role of China and Russia. It is the Soviet Union that defeated Germany in a bigger way than the entire Western alliance. We just keep talking about the US, France, and Great Britain's role in defeating the Nazis, but the Soviet Union lost more lives, fought bigger battles. Yes, the US helped the Soviet Union defeat the Nazis, but they had a major role in defeating Germany, and China also played a major role in defeating Japan. It's ironic that the US dropped nuclear weapons on Japan, and Japan is allied with the US, whereas China really fought very hard and decolonized itself of Japanese occupation. So Putin is going to be there. Probably Shehbaz Sharif is also going to stay back for the celebration, but Modi is not, because Modi wants to be friends with Japan also. So India is going to undermine the growth and strengthening of SCO by being with Japan, which is not in SCO, by being with Israel and not in SCO. And I don't know how it helps India. But for example, so India will become a weak link, will keep SCO weak and will also continue to upset members of SCO. But nevertheless, Xi Jinping, this is the winner, and so is Putin. So Putin has had a great opportunity. He was meeting with the president of the United States in the US. The Europeans are just running around in panic, helter-skelter. He's holding the entire West hostage by not even meeting with Zelensky so far. Now he's having bilaterals with China. So there's only one leader in the world today who has most recently visited the two biggest powers in the world, which is the US and China, and has been red carpeted by Putin, by Donald Trump in Alaska, and by Xi Jinping in China. So he's going to be at that parade. He's going to be at that parade where he's going to be standing there. And so you're going to see this power of the military power of China, and with Putin standing there backing him. It will be very interesting. I tried to look up. I'm not getting much information about Shehbaz Sharif's role there. It is very clear that he has not had a bilateral with Xi Jinping so far. The first, I think, major bilateral was with Modi. So it is very clear that China is giving more importance to India at this SCO than they are giving to Pakistan. So we will see who else is with Putin. There are some Central Asian leaders who are going to be definitely there standing with Xi Jinping at the parade. There are some issues there. There are lots of, there is not much geopolitical coherence in SCO. So there are all countries which are competing with each other. For example, India and Pakistan clearly are hostile to each other. They just had a military encounter just in May. But they are both members. So how do you expect countries which are going to war with each other to align their interests in the same direction? And then Pakistan too is now playing the same game and is being aligned with America, being so close to Donald Trump, and two visits by Asim Munir to the US in the past few weeks. So is Pakistan willing to stand so firmly and so upfront with China, presenting an anti-Western profile? I don't know that. We will see how Pakistan continues to manage its increasing proximity to the US while retaining its proximity to China, especially if the trade deal, which has another 80 days left, if the trade discussion between China and the United States fails, then you could have a massive global trade war between the US and China. And then maybe India and Pakistan will be forced to choose sides. India has clearly chosen its sides. India is moving away from the United States, moving closer to China and Russia. Yes, in BRICS, it is going to be very difficult for India to do that because it wants to be on the both sides of every issue. So if it wants to get closer to BRICS, then it'll have to move away from the US. If it wants to get closer to SCO, then it'll have to move away from Israel as well as Japan. So there are some tensions inside this. So the same story is now with Pakistan. India is also on the wrong side with Iran now, because it did not support Iran when it was attacked. I mean, what's the point of being in a club? Like, for example, if all of us become members to protect each other from external attacks, and then if one of our members is attacked and another member does not even support in statement, not in real terms, like sending weapons to Iran or something like that, nothing like that, just issue a tweet or something supporting Iran, even that India did not do. So Iran must be wondering what's the point of having India in SCO. And now the question is that from the Western point of view, the more scary part about SCO as well as eventually BRICS is the coming together not of India, China, and Russia, but coming together of Russia, China, and Iran with maybe North Korea. It is this particular axis that is going to be more worrisome to the West, because they are all consistent in their foreign policy. They are not on both sides of most issues, right? So that is going to be a very interesting scene to see. And from an Indian point of view, we will continue to see how things evolve with Russia, because Putin is like, I'm sure his enthusiasm must be through the roof right now, and he must be thinking, well, I'm doing something very great. Both the powers are chasing me, the Europeans are nervous about it. So we will see things going forward to look up to in the next few weeks. There are three issues that we really, really need to look up to. Is ultimately what happens with India, China. Is there something concrete that happens beyond just friendly talk? But friendly talk is important, because if you're not having friendly conversations, then you're having hostile exchanges. The most important thing that Xi Jinping and Modi said at this was that we are partners and not rivals. So this whole perception that China and India are not competitors, they are not in a situation where they are against each other, but they are with each other. So this is an important, shall we say, reframing of India-China relations. Yes, we may be weak partners. Yes, the partnership is developing, but it's not a rivalry. So the India-China rivalry did lead to some hostile action on the border in Galwan in particular. So this is one big development from an India-China perspective, is that they have publicly announced that we are not rivals, but we are partners. And then the discussion that they had on the border, I'm hoping that at some point they will announce that the border issues have completely disappeared, inshallah, with India and China. Then you can see that there will be a rapid economic collaboration, not necessarily security collaboration. And then, so I think we can look forward to some genuine geopolitical shifts. Prime Minister Modi invited Xi Jinping to come to India into 2026 to attend the BRICS summit. We will see what is happening. There are lots of not formal announcement, but lots of chatter in the US recently that Donald Trump may not be going to India for the Quad. If Donald Trump does not go to India for the Quad, but before the end of the year, he goes to China. And that's going to be a big deal. When he goes to China, it'll be a big entourage. Even when Putin came to Alaska, it was not just to talk about Ukraine. He brought businessmen with him, and he brought trade delegations, etc. So, but when Donald Trump goes, you'll see tons of CEOs and people from other departments. So there's going to be a very broad and comprehensive dialogue between China. So Xi Jinping is sitting pretty. Russia is running after China, seeking their friendship and strengthening their partnership. Donald Trump is also reaching out to China, giving China exemptions, punishing India for buying Russian oil, but not China. Imposing tariffs on India, on everybody else who haven't made a deal, but suspending tariffs on China for 90 more days. So it is September, October, November before it kicks in. So the US is chasing China. India is chasing China. India is pretending as if China has done nothing to India during Operation Sindhu, did not align itself with Pakistan so clearly. then the other tensions that you see at SCO is between Azerbaijan and Armenia. They had a war, and now both are there at the SCO as observers. But not only that, we also have certain countries there which are not really friendly to India. For example, Turkey and Azerbaijan are there, and India is also there. So I don't know what the chances of SCO is of being a really meaningful and cooperative institution for countries. But what I think is basically going to happen is that they are going to declare statements, and what is also probably going to happen is that there is going to be some kind of a symbolic anti-Western posture, not substantive enough for the West to really treat it as a hostile action. And they say, so the West will say, okay, fine. And American newspapers are obviously paying a lot more attention to SCO than they ever did before. So all of that is going to happen. But I don't think that even from this summit, there's going to be a lot of symbolic posturing, photo ops, etc., especially at the parade that China is going to host. And of course, China is also going to be impressing these same countries. Apparently, a lot of investment has gone into making Tianjin look good. China hosted 100 meetings as part of the SCO on many issues. I mean, we know that India itself participated in with some very key issues. Ajit Doval went there, Dr. Jaishankar went there, and also Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, went there. In this particular meeting, it was very interesting. If you notice in the photograph that you see, at least that the seat next on the left of Prime Minister Modi was vacant. On the right, Ajit Doval was sitting. Apparently, Dr. Jaishankar's health is not doing well, and that's why he skipped this, which is very interesting. So anyway, I hope he gets well quickly. So if there are some serious questions and comments, I'll be happy to answer them and read some of them to you, and then I will take your leave because I'm, as you can see, I'm at a convention, a major conference in here in Chicago. All right, so Umar, with good geopolitics update. Thank you very much, Umar. Foreign policy, he's friend with Trump also. Yeah, I just talked about those issues. Nick Sodi is a member. Thank you for joining. Hello to you too. Sir, if Russia is our friend, and why are we not importing uranium and palladium and rare earth from them? Seems weird, right? Yeah, that's a very good question as to why India is not importing that. Actually, that's a really good question. I have not looked at it. I will take a look at it. Why those rare earth materials are not coming to it. In fact, I think because China has imposed some kind of trade restrictions and exports on the US until recently, I think that's why the US turned towards Russia to get those rare earth materials. Uranium, not so much. I don't know why in US, because the US doesn't want to dig it out from here. They could have bought that some other countries. But palladium, yes, that's a good question. Okay, news on Moon said Trump on face about ceasefire. I don't know what you said, Hari. It's not very clear. Myanmar, I mean, they're just helping the refugees. China is the more dominant force in Myanmar, and India is also trying to improve its relations with Myanmar to reduce China's influence in Myanmar. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, not only that, Aditya Kerekar, not only that, he has no choice. Modi has no choice. Modi wants to be with Israel, then he should only go to Israel. Now America is also gone, so he can't come to America. I want to see whether he meets with Trump at the UN convention. So America, he can go to Japan and stuff like that, but at SCO and at BRICS, Turkey is going to be there now consistently. Erdogan is not very healthy, so maybe in a year or two you will see somebody else. But not only that, but if you Google, India has done a U-turn on collaboration with the Turkish airlines. So Indigo is now continuing to collaborate. So all the talk about banning Turkey and breaking all trade relations with Turkey is all over now. It's all done. So yes, there is a reversal. Thank you, Dhirendra Pratap. Thank you very much. As they say in Hindi, aapke muh mein ghee shakar. In English, you would say from your mouth to God's ears. Sir, should we sell bonds like Chinese did, which brought Trump on the table? Oh, that's a very good question. I don't know. Most of India's debt, which is 90% of its GDP, is domestic debt. India has not borrowed much money from outside. So what India is doing is something like the bonds that it is selling at home. Now, internationally, I don't know whether India will be able to sell bonds, but maybe to the diaspora, yes, it should sell some bonds to the diaspora so they can, they are sending, diaspora sends a lot of remittances, about $120 billion to India, but they might also want to buy and invest in India, especially the very rich people in the diaspora. That's a good idea what sell to buy from China, but there will be a profit margin there. The purpose of buying Russian oil is not to help Russia, but actually for India to profit from the discounts. So if they buy oil from Russia, which is also refined, from China, which is refined in China, then India will be just a consumer and it will be more expensive. India could just buy the same oil from Iraq and Saudi Arabia. And well, the Democrats, Aditya, are trying to be critical of everything that Donald Trump does. They did the same thing during the first term that Donald Trump's every policy was criticized by the Democrats, like imposing tariffs on China. Donald Trump had imposed tariffs 25% on solar cells, batteries, etc., and huge tariffs, 50% on electric vehicles coming from China. And the Democrats criticized that during the first term, but when Biden became president, he not only kept everything that Donald Trump did in terms of foreign policy, except going back into the Paris environmental treaty and going back into some UN institutions. Other than that, all policies towards China, Biden kept and doubled. He actually doubled the tariffs to 100% on Chinese electric vehicles. We don't see anything here. So the Democrats are criticizing many of these things, but if we have a Democratic president, I don't think all these policies will be reversed. They will keep many of these, especially if the government is making money from the tariffs, because then the Democrats will want to spend that money, right, that they are getting, so they will probably not reverse that. Thanks for all the love from Chhattisgarh. Christopher Moses, hello sir, how are you? Thanks for coming. Okay, Mr. Pandey, if you don't like my commentary, you're welcome not to listen, right? And so anyway, I don't see any serious question at the moment. Lots of interesting comments, So thank you for watching Conversations. Please subscribe to the channel and try and become members of Conversation if you can. Sir, but to become third pole, we have to maintain autonomy. The road is brittle, but we have the right. Well, Aditya Khadekar, it's a good question. You think India is a third pole. If India is a third pole, it's buying weapons from the first and second pole. You're not even an independent. Look at China. China doesn't buy weapons from the US. Russia doesn't buy weapons from the US. How can you be a third pole? In what sense are you going to be a third pole? Look at the two countries with whom India has the biggest trading partner, China and the US. India is heavily dependent on these countries. So it's just talk of being a third pole. As soon as India's relations became bad with the US, it started chasing Russia and China in a big way. That doesn't look as if it is a third pole, does it? You tell me. Anyway, thank you for watching Conversations. Please subscribe to Conversations, like this video, try and become a member of Conversation. And of course, please share this with your social political network and your friends. And soon I will be doing this from my study. And then we will be able to have much more longer conversations. So thank you for watching. I'm your host, Muqtadar Khan. Take care. Bye.